It's a serious question because
Yeah.
in college, when I was an undergrad, before I was even in law school, I took criminal justice classes. So I'm in the room with a bunch of cops.
Yeah.
You know, so we're sitting there, and the professor would ask us those questions, and everybody was on board with lowering the burden of proof, so it makes it easier to convict people. And I remember, I think I was the only one, or maybe a handful of people, who didn't have their hand up for agreeing to that. And when I would reason that, I'd say, all right, your mom's on trial for murder right now. And because the burden of proof is just lowered from beyond a reasonable doubt to preponderance of the evidence, now your mom's convicted of murder, and she's going to jail for something she didn't do because you agreed to lower the burden of proof.
What up? What up? So we got Anthony. Now, help me pronounce the last name. Scorzo? Scorzo.
Yeah.
Anthony Scorzo. So that's how Italian is that?
How Italian?
Yeah. Is that
it's Italian, yeah.
Is it 100%? Like, are you 100% Italian?
I'm not.
So are you second, third generation?
Second generation on my mother's side, third generation on my father's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So have you ever gone back and visited? Like
Never gone yet. I've actually only been out of the country once.
Where'd you go?
Colombia.
Colombia? What'd you go there for?
My ex was Colombian, so she had family out there and everything, so we went and visited. It was a good time.
Yeah?
It was pretty crazy.
What was the best food out there?
Man, the steak was awesome.
Steak?
Yeah, and it was all cheap, too.
Yeah?
Yeah, because the conversion rate out there is just...
Now, was there any Wagyu beef, or what kind of cut did you get?
No, it wasn't anything expensive. It was
just a good steak.
Yeah, it was just a good steak.
How'd they cook it?
Medium rare.
Did they smoke? Did they grill it? How'd they?
It was grilled mainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it was just, man, you go out there. There's people walking around everywhere. You got guys. They're selling coconut water out there.
Yep.
And just regular coconuts. Man, it was a dream. You know, we ate food out in the right in the lake, the ocean.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, it was cool as hell.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. You ever eaten any meat off a Traeger grill? So
What's
the
Traeger grill?
Traeger grill. It's like this wood pellet grill, but it's like it monitors itself. You set it to a temperature so you can like slow cook your meat on like a set temp, and then it's got this gauge. You just stick it in the meat and it tells you like what temp your meat's at, and then you can just Google like what's
Traeger
medium
grill?
rare. Yeah, it's a Traeger grill. Joe Rogan shouts them out all the time. I had one down in Lincoln, Nebraska. I had like one of the nicest models.
Damn.
It was phenomenal. Hooks up to your phone.
Mm.
You can monitor like your meat. Like I would slow cook ribs on Sundays for our office, and like pork belly, and you know what I mean, just different cuts of meat, and it was fire. It was phenomenal. We'd sit it on there 6-8 hours in the night with a good like making calls and sales all day long, and then we end the night. Always Sundays I made it like a family day because I grew up. My best friend was Italian. Yeah. Every Sunday he'd invite me over to his grandma's, and it was like a feast. It was probably the best day of the week. He'd be like, "You coming over to Graham's?"
Yeah, we did. I mean, we did the same thing too.
Yeah.
You know, after my grandparents passed away, you know, we all stopped getting together too much.
Yeah.
During the holidays especially, but Sundays, man, nothing beats a Sunday nothing. Italian dinner, man.
We play football out in the yard, like right before dinner or right after dinner.
Yeah, we just, my cousins and I, we just run around and, goof off.
Yep.
Play video games, or we just beat the hell out of each other downstairs.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
Now, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Bloomingdale.
Yeah, Illinois.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so Bloomingdale, Illinois. It's right by the Schaumburg area, Schaumburg-Addison.
So how far is that from where we're at?
About 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Yeah,
okay, so
maybe.
you've been here for a good long while.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what'd your parents do growing up?
My dad's an electrical engineer. My mom, she stayed at home most of the time, but then she worked in insurance for a little while.
Okay. Life, like us?
What? No, she worked for farmers.
Okay.
Yeah, so she worked for I think it was a franchisee owner.
Yeah.
He was never there. He was always in Florida, and she was always at the office by herself. So,
that makes sense.
Yeah, so she did that for a really long time.
Yep.
And then my parents moved out of Illinois back in 2016, right before I went to law school.
Where'd they go to? Florida?
No, they went to New York.
New York.
I know, right? I mean, you would think.
Yeah.
Now,
are they like in the city part or the country part?
They were in Rochester. So it was Rochester, upstate New York. It's just like Illinois.
Yeah.
Chicago is basically its own state. New York City, its own state. You go up north to Rochester. I mean, it's basically
Are they like polar opposites? Is it like
polar opposites. Yeah.
so? It's
I mean,
probably more conservative up in Rochester.
Very
than-
much so.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's if farmland.
Is it all? Are they in? Is that area of like forced vaccinated and such? No, I'm getting to this pretty abruptly, but now I'm
Yeah.
curious.
No, that's all right. It was. I mean, they're New York City, from what I've seen, is the one that's the area
real.
that's
Like you can't get into anything without having a vaccine card.
right. Well, I mean, Chicago's getting that way too.
Now, since I brought it up, is there ways to like? Is that like unconstitutional? Like, aren't there ways where it's like, yo, dude, like that's you can't necessarily force that.
All right, so there's a lot of different ways in how. So there's the law school way of how these things work.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like the answer is C. But
Yeah.
you want my opinion? I don't think any of this is constitutional because I mean, if we're gonna be talking about Roe versus Wade,
Yeah.
right? Where the court talks about something called substantive due process.
Yeah.
It's a made up term. It's not anywhere in the Constitution.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of lawyers are going to disagree with me on this, but substantive due process is something that's not in the Constitution. But
Yeah.
it's something that you're afforded in the Constitution. So in that case, they read in to Roe versus Wade. They read into the Constitution a right to privacy, which isn't in the Constitution either.
Yeah.
But you can say that it's implied in the Fourth Amendment, unreasonable searches and seizures. Well,
Yep.
if the cops can't come into your house and search you, well, I guess you can argue that you have an implicit right to privacy there.
Yes.
So if that's the case, then person has a right to privacy with their own body.
Yeah.
So the government can't tell you what to do with your body,
Yes.
which is why at the same time, then you can't tell a woman to get an abortion.
Yes.
Now, putting morals aside, just looking at what the law says, if you can't tell a person what to do with their body, why could you tell them to mandate them to take a vaccine?
Yeah.
So that, I mean, in short, that's kind of the crux of it, in my opinion.
There was a doctor, I don't know if you're familiar with him, and his last name is Kevorkian. And Dr. Kevorkian, and you can look it up. And essentially, he would, under a patient's permission, euthanize that patient. Like say they were in just like a fatal state, you know what I mean, where they had just endured this just horrible disease and they were like on their last leg. They could go in and say, look, I'd like to just like cross the bridge, you know what I mean, but put to sleep.
Yeah.
So I think of like privacy of the body and certain things like that, and it's like you talk about like just the crazy things that people are able to do, you know what I mean, and then you get into situations where it's like, oh no, now you're mandated. But it's so confusing to me because it's like the United States of America, but it's like almost like each individual state is its own state. Like Texas and Florida seem like the most free from the outward perspective of like, all right, well, you know what I mean? They seem like they're able to like.
Well, that's where the 10th Amendment comes in, because then you have the separation of states. So that's why so when people are talking about Roe versus Wade being overturned, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to get an abortion.
Yeah.
That just means it kicks it back to the states, because right now it's a federal law, federal case law. Again, this is where a lot of lawyers are going to differ with me, but it's already federal law that they cannot, that the government can't put, and comes from Planned Parenthood versus Casey, an undue burden on a woman to get an abortion, essentially.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember a case the case for Planned Parenthood versus Casey, the facts surrounding it. But essentially an undue burden it's a little bit, so there's different burdens that you have to jump over when you're trying to pass a law and see if it's constitutional.
Yeah.
So you have strict scrutiny, which is the hardest hurdle for the government to jump over. Undue burden, which is strictly for abortions right now, and then rational basis. So hang on, I gotta go back because my mind just starts
I can't even
wandering
imagine
off.
like
It just starts wandering off.
memorizing all these
yeah.
cases. Like what even is Roe versus Wade?
So that was a case where a woman was trying to get an abortion.
Okay.
Essentially, in the state, and the government was saying that the states can't, they cannot enforce a law that prevents a woman from getting an abortion because of the implicit right to privacy. Now, Planned Parenthood versus Casey, that talks about the undue burden standard.
Yeah.
So you can't place an undue burden on somebody on a woman getting an abortion. So if that case gets overturned, Roe versus Wade,
Yeah.
all that means is it gets kicked back to the states. So Illinois, California, New York, all the very blue left-leaning states, you're going to be able to get an abortion there.
Yeah.
There's a misconception about if the courts overrule that.
So the state is what really has all the power, like where you're living.
Well, I mean, it's slowly diminishing, but yes, the feds. That's kind of the difference between conservatives and liberals. It's top-down control from the left government, while with the right government, the conservatives, you have more of a hands-off approach. States kind of decide what they want to do. Now, that's very, very, very general.
Yeah.
There's obviously a lot more intricacies to it, and you don't necessarily have to. You don't have to identify with one group of people. You can like some stuff from the left, like some stuff from the right.
Yeah, exactly.
For instance, some conservatives may like top-down control, but they don't like socialized healthcare.
Yeah.
Which I guess is kind of doesn't make any sense, but well, maybe it does, because you still want to have competition with insurance companies in the marketplace. But so you know what I'm saying? It's not black and white, but that's kind of the crux of it.
Now, when you're defending a client, why do so many lawyers reference cases? Is it to say, like, hey, look, in this situation, this relates to this case, and so here's what we need to lean towards?
Right. Yeah. So essentially, you're drawing back to those cases and trying to draw a comparison to it, saying,
can you literally say any public case? Like, even if it was very minor, or does it need to be a major successful case?
So it has to be within your jurisdiction. So if let's say it's a state case, you want to have state law. So if it's we'll use Illinois for example. If I want to cite some case to get somebody off of whatever it is, just to kind of put it in real life. If you're going to file a motion to quash and suppress, we'll use a DUI. All right. So in the DUI, you have your license automatically gets suspended. It's called the statutory summary suspension. So within 46 days of receiving a notice of suspension, your license is suspended. You're not allowed to drive. But in the law, you have something that you can file. It's a petition to rescind the statutory summary suspension. Once you file that, we refer to it as a PTR. Mm-hmm. Once you file your PTR, you then the state has 30 days to get you a hearing where you show. Essentially, there's 4 things, but really the only 2 out of the 4 are the only ones that are really litigated. The first is that your blood alcohol or breath alcohol wasn't over a .08, or the officer didn't have reasonable grounds to arrest you for a DUI. So you have 30 days to get that. Now, let's say within the 30, and I'm getting to the case law part.
Yeah.
So let's say within the 30 days, I send subpoenas, I send notice to produce to the state, to the police department, saying, I want the squad video. I also want, the police narrative.
Yeah.
So give me everything so I can put on an effective trial in 30 days. So let's say the 30-day mark comes up. I don't have squad video. Squad video is available. I tell the judge, I can't proceed on this hearing because I don't have the squad video. Right?
Yeah.
So part of the squad video it's an integral part of the DUI because it tells you essentially what happened. Not that the officer is lying, but video is much easier to work with than paper, than a narrative. So there's a case called People versus Patel, and I might be getting this wrong, but in People versus Patel, the attorney in that case didn't get everything by the 30th day that they asked for. So they told the judge, how can we put on an effective case without getting all the evidence that we requested? So the judge says, so they're saying the only thing you could do is rescind the statutory summary suspension because under the statute, they have to give us 30 days. Well, they gave us our 30 days. We're here to present our case, but we can't what's called answer ready for trial because we don't have everything that we asked for. So until we get everything that we asked for, then we'll be ready for trial. But the problem is the statute gives you 30 days. It's the 30th day. So if we go past that and it's not our fault, then the only option here is to rescind the statutory summary suspension. So that's what happened in that case. So now that's, especially in Cook County, that's what defense attorneys rely on a lot. It's a Patel motion. So that's the case that it comes from.
Now, are there two main types of attorneys? There's defense, and then
Oh man, I mean, there's all types of attorneys. I mean,
what
you
are
have-
are there like two like main types? Like when you're seeing in
No.
the shows, are those always defense? Like when they're like drug dealers and
So I
major criminals, that's a defense attorney, right?
right, yeah.
Okay.
So in the criminal world, you have defense attorneys and you have prosecutors. But the prosecutors can also break down into state prosecutors. That's where you see on the
Does somebody
case.
go to law school to become a prosecutor also?
Yeah,
They pass a bar and everything?
right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So prosecutors, there are state prosecutors, there are city prosecutors. So for instance, the city of Lombard, they have their own prosecutor. So
It's just one person?
usually that, or it's a law firm.
Okay.
So there's some law firms, they run the city. you
Okay.
know. And usually those guys are much easier to work with because it's more personable. You know,
Yes.
you know them, you could talk to them. The state, it's just some.
So with where we're at right now, what like prosecutor runs our
Well, it
with
depends.
Lombard?
So Lombard, so far with some of the tickets that,
I've gotten.
well, yeah, the ones that you got, those were all city of Lombard.
Seems pretty easy, kind of.
Yeah. So I mean, and it's easy to work with them too. So
Yeah.
you know, they're much easier to talk
That's
to.
a firm, or is that an individual prosecutor?
It's usually a firm. It
Okay.
could be an individual, but that's a lot of work for one person.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
That makes sense. Now you just cover many different like lines.
yeah, I have a general practice. So
Okay.
majority of my practice is real estate, family law, and criminal law.
Yep.
But I also do some corporate work. You know, just very, very small corporate formations, LLC formations.
Yeah.
I'm starting to dip my foot in the Secretary of State, and
Okay.
that's just a whole different animal. So when you get a DUI, you lose your license. So let's say you beat the case or you don't beat the case, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Your license is gone. Usually on your second DUI, it's revoked. So there's a long, grueling process that you got to go through to get your license back. So defense attorneys, they just dispose of your criminal case. But then there's that extra step after that to get your license back.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to get into too.
Okay.
And that, man, it sucks.
Now is it just a lot of studying, or?
It's not even necessarily studying. It's knowing people, really. It's knowing, first of all, what the statute is telling you have to bring in order to get your license back. So what the person has to go through. And again, I'm not an expert on this yet. I've only started looking into it. So you need, let's say you lost your license after your third DUI. Well, the state's just not going to give it back to you. You might get a restricted driving permit, which is an RDP.
Yeah.
That only allows you to, let's say, drive to work. If driving is an integral part of your of working, let's
Yep.
say, or if you're suspended, some people need a restricted driving permit. They can't be suspended because they have to drive for work. So that one's a little bit easier if it's not dealing with a DUI. But if it's dealing with a DUI, then you have to get counseling too, and you already have to do counseling through the courts for your criminal case, and you can't use that same counseling. You have to get somebody for the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
So it's just ridiculous. And then even let's say you tell the Secretary of State, I completed my probation. I didn't drink as I was told not to do. They're going to be like, okay, so you do what you're told when you're being watched, but what
Yeah.
about when you're not being watched? So then it's like, Jesus Christ, I did all this work for nothing,
For
and now
what?
I got to be abstinent from alcohol even longer than that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
And it's it's different than the criminal system because the burden's on you to tell them why you get your driving privileges back, because driving's not a right, it's a privilege.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what classifies something as like, so why isn't it that like, I guess in a sense, like when it comes to like the vaccine, why isn't it like it's a privilege for you not to have the vaccine? Like, could they say something like that?
Well, I would just say under Roe versus Wade.
Yeah, like privacy.
I have a right to privacy. You can't tell me what to do with my body.
So,
I mean,
but-
if we're gonna be running with that right now, and that's case law,
Yeah.
then in my opinion, that's the way it should be. I mean, of course, there's more to it. I can't just sit here and say that blatantly.
Now, how did it get FDA approved so quickly?
I don't know. I don't know how the FDA process works, but all I know is that there's so many products out there that aren't FDA approved.
Not
That-
FDA approved, or in most vaccines they take a while. Is it true they take a while? Are there any other cases where a vaccine was approved so quickly by the FDA?
Not that I'm aware of, but again, I'm not. that's something I haven't looked into too much. So
Okay.
the only thing that I could say about the vaccine is that you shouldn't be told what to do.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
With your body. Again,
I
Roe
agree.
versus Wade is just something that if we're gonna say stare decisis, which is basically the court following its previous cases.
It's so contradictory when I really think about it, because typically the individuals that do really it seems like that do push the vaccine are more liberal.
Yeah.
And then you typically see with that party, just in general, from like an opinion. I'm not the most politically intelligent, but it seems like that's where like there's a bigger push for like, I don't know, like different, like I would say basically like females competing in like male sports, or just that like, you know what I mean, just respect of homosexuality and transgenders and all that. And so it's like almost like we're saying like, don't tell, you know, they're asking not for you to tell them what to do with their bodies there, but then when it comes on the side of like, well, don't tell us what to do, you know, with our
Sure.
bodies.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's almost like hypocritical.
Yeah, and the same argument can be made about conservatives too, though.
Yeah.
I mean, because a lot of the left-leaning types, I would say, they say that a lot of conservatives, they care about the kid inside the womb, but once they come out, they don't give a shit about him anymore.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, if that's the case,
Goes both ways.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it all goes both ways.
Yeah.
I mean, so the idea, the point is that for whatever reason, people feel the need to follow something that they don't believe because it's on their team.
Yeah.
I'm a White Sox fan. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean if they do something stupid or pick up a dumb player, I'm going to be like, no, that guy's my guy now.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they did something stupid. I'm going to criticize them.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm not a fan anymore.
Absolutely.
And it's the same thing with politics. It's like, okay, your side does something stupid.
Yep.
Criticize them for it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with saying your side fucked up.
Yep.
You got to yell at them for it and
Yeah.
get upset about it. That doesn't mean you have to believe it, but they're still your team.
Yes.
And so that's politics is just so ridiculous with that kind of stuff.
Now, do you think they'll ever be able to nationally mandate the vaccine? Like, will it be like ever like? Is there ever a way where it could be like, look, you know what I mean? If you guys want to keep living here or be out of jail, like on some like really fucked up shit, like,
Well,
could that
Biden's
ever?
trying that already.
So, but is that ever like possible? Like that'll potentially like actually happen?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, you already see people they're not
Well,
complying right now.
Didn't that big state, was it Virginia? Didn't it flip?
Well, so Virginia.
What does that mean?
Okay, so Virginia has been generally a Democratic state.
Yes.
So they had their elections coming up, and
Yeah.
I guess one of the incumbent Democrat governor of the state. He was asked about, and again, this is why I don't think people are going to comply if there is ever a national mandate, which there won't be, but
Yeah.
because this potential governor was telling parents specifically that they don't have control over their kids' education. So, you're going to tell a parent that, especially if you tell my parents would flip shit. They'd be
Yeah.
like, excuse me?
Yeah.
My mom would not let that fly.
Yeah.
So the Governor Youngkin, who's the new governor, he was Republican, he had a different stance on that, and he was listening to what the people were saying. And
Go to whatever fucking school you want.
yeah, I mean, essentially, that's pretty much what they were saying. But I mean, the main thing about that was from the Daily Wire, which is a conservative news network.
Yeah.
One of their investigative journalists broke a story where a transgender boy raped a girl in one of the bathrooms there,
Yeah.
and the school covered it up.
What the
And they
fuck?
didn't. Yeah, they covered it up, and I mean, so I guess they had a sexual relationship in the past. It doesn't make a difference.
Not at all.
He was charged with the count of anal sodomy.
Yeah.
So if you're charged with something like that, it was pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
So the school covered it up, and after that story broke, that really swung the state red.
Yeah.
As far as the governorship goes.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So that's I guess in a sense that's what they meant by it flipping red.
Is that the most powerful individual over the state? Is it the governor?
The governor, yeah. You could think of the governor as like the president.
Is he over the senators? Like, what's a state senator?
So it's not really over one person over another.
Okay.
You have a breakdown of three branches of government. You have the legislature,
Yeah.
which is your Congress people, your senators. Then you have the executive branch, which is your president of the United States
Yep.
or the governor. and then you have your judiciary branch, which is the courts.
Okay.
So the judiciary for Illinois would be the Illinois trial courts, the appellate courts,
Yep.
the Illinois Supreme Court, and then
Is that the court I was in for my speeding tickets?
that was the trial courts, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then, and then with the feds, you have the appellate courts, the federal district appellate courts, and then you have the United States Supreme Court.
Okay.
So that's kind of
Where does the governor sit and the senator sit?
So kind of on this separate end. So the legislature makes your law. They
Okay.
write into law what.
And that would be like senators.
Right. So the Congress people write the law.
So they're constantly writing new laws.
Right.
What the fuck? How many
Yeah.
laws do we have?
Millions.
They have to contradict so many.
Yep. And that's what the courts are there for. So, you know, like you'll have one of the family law statutes read for collecting college expenses, for having one parent collect college expenses from another parent. It reads that is it 20, not past 23, but not over the age of 25. So it's like there's this weird gray area where it says that you can collect, and I'm butchering the statute. I can't remember what it says word for word, but the question's like, all right, so is it 23 when you can petition the other parent for college expenses, or is it 25?
Yeah.
So we really don't know. I mean, and nobody's litigated it, and it really, I don't think anybody will, because I think it's kind of a general understanding amongst the community that it's 23 or 25.
Yeah.
So, it's a costly process to appeal cases too.
Okay.
So,
now with you doing it in family court, I was thinking about this the other day. So like, with like prenups and alimony and child support, how are those like all men? Like, how can somebody pay like $100,000 a month, like some celebrity or big ball player or something like that, pay $100,000 a month in child support, and then somebody else like gets away with like paying zero?
it's based on your income.
So it's all now alimony too. Like, I don't understand alimony.
So there's two separate things. So child support is the support that goes to the kid. You're supposed to spend that money on the kid. Maintenance is paying for, basically the person. It's
the lifestyle they were adjusted to.
Yeah. So I mean, let's say you have a wife. You're
Yeah.
working. You're making $100,000 a year, just as a number. Okay.
Yeah.
She's stay-at-home mom. She's staying at home with the kids. She does it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Now you guys are getting a divorce. She's going to have to fend for herself. How the hell is she going to do that? She's been out of the workforce for 10 years.
Yeah.
So she can't necessarily take care of herself.
Yep.
So what do? Well, you pay her as if she's still living at home. And then you pay her maintenance.
Well, how do they determine that?
It's based on statute and income. It's never.
So if somebody's doing in that 100,000 scenario, like, what are they coming for?
I couldn't tell you.
No,
I
it
really
all
don't know.
varies.
Yeah, it varies. I mean, it depends on their debt. It depends on.
And does it vary on how long you have to pay them too?
Yep. So there's long-term relationships. There's short-term.
How quickly does it kick in that you'd have to do alimony? Like, could you be dating someone for 2 months?
As soon as a judgment is entered. So you file a petition for dissolution of marriage, gets served on the other person.
But I'm saying, like, what qualifies somebody to request alimony? Could you be dating someone for 2 months, break up, and then be like,
oh, no. Yeah, you have to be married.
You have to be.
Yeah, you have to be married.
Is there states where you don't have to be married?
Yeah, there's common law marriage. So, oh God, I don't know if Illinois recognizes common law marriage, but this is more of a bar exam thing. So, common law marriage, you have to. I'm gonna butcher the language, but it's you act in the society as if you guys are married.
Yeah.
So even though you're not legally married through the state,
Yeah.
you kind of act like you are.
I wonder what time span they put on that.
It's about 7 years usually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so 7 years, and there's one more element that I can't remember off the top of my head. But that's basically what it is. And then if you guys break up or something, then they could file a petition.
Now, how can women keep coming back, or even men, I guess I should say, how can parents come back and keep requesting more and more child support?
So it depends on the change in circumstances. So if there's a dramatic change in circumstances, you can ask to increase the child support. If something, let's say, happens to the kid where they need additional help or something like that, you could petition the court for that. And the court.
If there isn't a figure there to provide child support, how do parents take care of those kids?
What do you mean by that?
Like, my dad was in jail,
Okay.
so we didn't get child support, and my mom didn't completely go on government assistance. The most she did was food stamps. But even then, because her and my dad were always arguing, even when she was in jail, and he had like falsified something in regard to her food stamps, so she had to work even more. Like she worked like 100 hours a week. We literally like never saw her.
Yeah.
So now when you have no government assistance and you don't have child support, what do those people do? They just got to find a way.
They're just working at it.
Yeah, they just got to find a way.
Trying to find a way.
Now, but like, does that work for like all parents? Like if one of the parents is in jail, how do they get support? They just have to get welfare.
Well, they would have to look for the government assistance that they can find, and if the other parent still has money, if you're suing Rob Blagojevich in jail, and he's still making his government salary while he's sitting and rotting in jail.
Yeah.
Well then, he'll still have to pay child support if it's court mandated.
Okay.
I mean, at the same time, how do you enforce that though? Because they're in jail. What are you going to do? Throw them in jail for not paying child support?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's almost I don't know. It's difficult. I mean, sometimes people are looking for lawyers to be the magicians and make things happen. It's not like that. There's too many moving parts. There's too many other parties. I have clients that get upset that they're like, this system is rigged. It's bullshit. I'm like, no, the system's not rigged. There's winners and losers at everything.
Yeah.
If you're playing a game, there's a winner and there's a loser. If you're fighting something out in court, there's a winner and a loser. And the loser is not always somebody who's going to be sitting there stomping their feet saying the other side cheated. But the people that they do, I mean, there's an outlet for that. There's the appellate process. But most of the time, you just lost.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you had a great attorney that did everything that they could, sometimes the facts just are not on your side. Yeah. And you just lose.
That makes sense. What are your thoughts, like, on attorneys? And I mean, everybody's entitled to. Now, what would be the law where everybody's entitled to their own defense, like having a lawyer? Is there a law that's like everybody's entitled to that? Yeah,
that's the Sixth Amendment. So you have the right to you do have the right to an attorney.
Okay.
It's mainly in capital cases, but then there's also misdemeanors where you can be appointed the public defender, but you have to qualify for it.
Is there ever a scenario where you're not entitled?
Traffic tickets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just a petty offense. So you're not. They don't necessarily. You can't. I mean, you're entitled to have an attorney there, and you have the right to not speak, but it's just a traffic offense. So it's not really something that that people really make an issue out of, because there's not any jail time to it. So if you add jail time, which is the Gideon versus Wainwright case, you start adding jail time to it, well, then if your liberty is at stake, then you should have a right to an attorney, somebody to defend you that can do a better job than you would.
Yeah.
So that's...
Now, what are your thoughts on individuals that are like murderers and rapists? They're like having to defend somebody like that, or attorneys that are like oh, dude, this
classic,
dude just...
The classic question. Absolutely. So this is the way I think of it. Our system is set up so you're innocent until proven guilty. Now, now it's set up that way. Now, whether or not that's the case when you're going into trial, if a judge already has their mind made up, or the jury just doesn't like
the judge makes the decision. The jury makes the decision now.
In some cases,
okay.
Some cases you have bench trials. Some cases you have jury trials.
Okay.
So in a case where there's a, it's set up. All right. So it's set up. You're innocent until proven guilty, right?
Yeah.
So I would rather have a murderer walk free than my mom go to jail for something she didn't do.
Yeah.
So you tell me, would you rather have two guilty people walk free so one innocent person can walk free, or would you rather have those two guilty people go to jail and have an innocent person go to jail as well? What would you rather have? Because it's a serious question. Because in college, when I was an undergrad, before I was even in law school, I took criminal justice classes. So I'm in the room with a bunch of cops.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, and the professor would ask us those questions, and everybody was on board with lowering the burden of proof, so it makes it easier to convict people. And I remember, I think I was the only one, or maybe a handful of people, who didn't have their hand up for agreeing to that. And when I would reason that, I'd say, all right, your mom's on trial for murder right now. And because the burden of proof is just lowered from beyond a reasonable doubt to preponderance of the evidence, now your mom's convicted of murder, and she's going to jail for something she didn't do because you agreed to lower the burden of proof. You think that's fair? Like, you want that to happen to your mom?
No.
And everybody sits there like, but what about those terrible people? Fine, whatever. They go to jail too. So then they're in jail with your mom. You're still okay with that? Like it's stupid, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe it's because I have such a defense mindset to it,
Yeah.
but to me that just makes sense, you know.
Yeah, no.
It's
I
just
like that perspective. I really like that perspective.
yeah, but you got beyond a reasonable doubt your highest burden. It's there no doubt for which reason can be given in either a rational consideration of the evidence or lack of evidence.
Now, what determines how the case is going to get settled? Like if it's a bench, jury, or
So
whatever.
settled. So you have for criminal cases you reach a verdict. If you take it all the way, you run it all the way through. Civil cases you usually get a judgment. So it's an order that the judge enters against you, or a judgment that says that you have to do something, or a judgment entering, you know, that the person's not liable.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily it's not black and white. But if you take, we'll use criminal because criminal's a little more straightforward. If you're going to reach a settlement with somebody, it generally is more of a you talk to the state and you say, listen, my guy's Mother Teresa. You know, he feeds the homeless every week. He lets people into his house to live there if they're homeless or something. You know what I mean? It's called mitigation. So you provide them with mitigation. You provide them with all the good stuff. They're taking care of this person. They make X amount of dollars. They're going through this hardship. And then the state comes back with, okay, well, they did this. They committed this crime. These are the facts behind that crime that they committed. So let's find a middle ground where we don't have to take this to trial and spend money on court costs and paying our state's attorneys to litigate a case. So let's find some middle ground where we're all going to be happy. So that's when you plea a case down from, let's say, a felony DUI, you plea it down to a misdemeanor DUI. So that way you don't take the case to a trial. You don't expend money on state's attorneys, you know, and let's say the person just made a mistake. So you have a person who was charged with a crime when they weren't really, let's say it was, because again, not everybody's a rapist, not everybody's a murderer. Every defense case, almost every defense case, it's just somebody who made a mistake. So we're not trying to crucify that person.
Yeah.
So instead you're saying, let's not put them through the entire process. Let's just knock it down a little bit so that way you guys don't have to work, we don't have to work, and justice is still served.
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea behind a plea deal.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So with with the defending and everything like that, is there a way like the states can like bring something against the like executive, like the federal? You know what I mean? Like if state was like,
yes, the state sues the federal government.
yeah,
Yeah.
where it's like, hey, look, you know what I mean? We don't like how you're trying to like Biden. You're trying to mandate this, so you know what?
Yeah, Texas was one of the states that sued Biden over the vaccine mandate.
So do they win that, or is that something that's just going to take?
The courts put a stop to it. So basically from what I understand how it went down was the court said, this isn't going to kick in. So Biden's like, we're going to try to kick this in after the holidays. The court's like, no, we're going to litigate this out first, and we're putting a temporary injunction against you, which is basically an injunction is basically saying a court order telling you to do something or to stop doing something.
Yeah.
So they put in the injunction to stop the mandate.
So now the next presidential election will be next fall, right? 2022. When did he get in? 2020, 2024. Yeah. So who?
Yeah, man, it's only been 11 months.
Holy fuck.
Biden, I know. It feels like a century.
Yeah. Holy shit. I was over here like, all right, well, at least we'll, have an idea of someone that can remember their fucking words.
Yeah, the midterms are coming up in 2022.
So what would those be?
Senators, congresspeople.
Okay. Hopefully there's some more
governors.
More realistic people. I don't give a fuck if it's red or blue, just somebody with
I think you
fucking brain.
You share a similar mindset than everybody else in the world.
I feel like everybody's just kind of tired of this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
I'm thinking, but now when I'm thinking of 2024 is who do you think's gonna is that way too far out for you to think like who's gonna be in office? I think we'll swing back. I feel like it'll just be back.
If things continue the way they are, it's definitely gonna swing back red. I mean, it's already the midterms are already gonna show that it's gonna swing back red.
Yeah,
I guarantee.
I'm really getting that vibe.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Now, what I always hear, I never like, I don't watch any news. So I don't know anything political. I don't know anything news-wise. Nothing ever, like, bothers me. People are like, oh, did you hear this happen? Like, when I first started hearing Omicron, it was through a meme on my grind. And I was like, oh,
I'll be honest, that's kind of the same thing with me.
that's hilarious. On my grind, Omicron. I was like, what the hell is Omicron? And they're like, oh, there's a new variant. You should actually get your 18th booster. And I'm like, what the hell?
You know, the thing about the Omicron virus is I don't think, and I might be wrong, which I don't care if I am, because whatever. There hasn't been a single death from it. Everybody's talking about the cases are going up. Well, who gives a fuck?
I don't know who's died at all.
I've
know not met one person. Okay,
I've met a few.
So my condolences to those individuals that have passed away and been affected from COVID.
And mine too. And again, with the Omicron virus, it's almost a good thing that this thing came out because it's more transmissible, meaning it's easier to get it. But I don't give a fuck how many people get it. I give a fuck how many people are hospitalized and how many people die.
Yes. And strictly from that, not because they got the cold, they had a cold and they were extremely overweight, had a heart attack and died.
Right. I mean, again, if we're going to talk,
we're not going to label that COVID.
If we're going to talk about healthcare in this system and doctors prescribing the wrong things, I mean, that's a whole nother story. Because, you know, one of the things that people can do is they can focus on their diet and they can focus on their exercise.
And how much stock do some of these political figures have in the pharmaceutical companies distributing the vaccine?
Tons.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, dude, like, are you serious?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm cool with people making money. I love making money.
Yeah.
But it's like, let's just be honest and open. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, not shortcut and put a demand in place where it's like physically impossible for people not to have it through this fear monger. But then I'm thinking, like, also I keep hearing, the next thing I always hear about politically is the Cuomo brothers.
Oh yeah.
What are they? I thought they were comedians. I didn't know they were actually in political. I saw this video of like, you got me in trouble. No, you got me. Like, they were arguing and like, I was like, this is comical. Are they comedians? Because this is kind of funny.
So Chris Cuomo was a news anchor on CNN, and then oh my God, how am I forgetting his name?
I gotta look up this video. It's hilarious.
I know what you're talking about though. Then are you talking about with the big Q-tip too?
Dude, there's this one Cuomo argue. Like, Ma said like something. I was like, what the hell?
Governor Andrew Cuomo. And then their father was Mario Cuomo from New York. Whoa. And he was a big politician. So
now, you know, I've seen you referred to a little bit recently as the love gov, and I'm wondering if that's bleeding
they're brothers.
Dude, this is hilarious. I wonder where's the one where he's like, no, Mom doesn't like you. Oh, here's that Q-tip you're talking about.
Yeah.
So were they both in the same state? Was he a news anchor in New York?
I don't know where CNN's headquarters are. I think they might be in New York.
Okay.
But they're brothers. And actually, Chris Cuomo got fired because he was helping out his brother with
that allegation,
the sexual allegation charges against him.
So Andrew was the governor.
Yeah.
And so he got removed.
Well, he stepped down.
Yeah. What's he do now?
Nobody knows. I don't know if nobody knows, but I have no idea.
Andrew, let's see his net worth, because these governors.
Oh, these guys got a lot of money.
Absolutely. Like a lot.
Yeah, and especially Chris Cuomo.
They're saying his current net worth is approximately $5 million, dude. That is not true. That's what's reported. I met the governor of the previous governor of Tennessee down at that leadership event I was at, John Maxwell, and he was worth a bill. Part owner in the Cleveland Browns.
Well, that makes sense then.
So obviously that piece there, but like, and then so I know the director of economics in Nebraska. That's how I got into cigars. So his name's Tony Goins, and he's got a sweet cigar lounge down in Lincoln, Nebraska. If you're ever out in Lincoln, Nebraska, it's the Capital Cigar Lounge. And so he got me plugged in there. I was one of the youngest members there, and started just going over. I'm not the smartest. GD. Or GP, something like the gross product income or something.
Oh, okay.
Is it
GDP?
GDP, gross domestic profit.
I don't know what it stands for, but I know what you're talking about. I think it's
so like just certain like financial literacy and just things to almost enhance my abilities and just my career and everything with insurance and running that down there. But he was directly connected with the governor of Nebraska, which was Pete Ricketts, who's also a co-owner of the Cubs with his sister, Ricketts out here. We were discussing about trying to get some of these guys on the podcast, but it's cool. Crazy to see how these governors are so truly like really powerful, really wealthy,
and connected too.
Well connected.
Yeah.
Well connected.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how it goes, even with local stuff too. You know, in DuPage County.
Yeah.
Some of these judges that get appointed, the associate judges, Well, associate judges that get appointed, they're not voted in. So sometimes it depends on who's in power. At least back in the day, there'd be one guy that's picking, I want this guy to be the judge.
Yeah.
But, I'm not, I haven't been practicing long enough, and I'm not old enough to know all those high, powerful individuals that were doing that back in the day. So
Now back into, like, the judicial system and, like, defense attorneys, do you ever worry about, like, one of those cats out there? You ever seen Law Abiding Citizen?
Oh, yeah, great movie.
You ever worry there's a dude out there? Has there ever been anything, like, legitimate like that where somebody, like, messed up a case and it's like, well, at least, we got the best we could, and then he just starts killing everybody?
I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. I don't know how that would happen. I mean, dude,
that movie was
the
insane,
judge's
dude.
phone blew up on her face.
Dude.
I don't see that happening.
Oh, I thought she was sniped.
No, she answered her phone, and then it blew up.
Holy
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah,
That shit was crazy.
That was it was a good movie. A lot of people were talking about how they didn't like it, but I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, I thought it was a great
And I'll be
movie.
honest with you, I wanted the prosecutor to die.
Yeah?
Yeah, what a fucking terrible deal.
For not like
Yeah, I think it was like
just trying, like at the end where he's like, dude,
Yeah.
you could have just tried.
Yeah, it was
Win or lose.
2 years. That one guy, the guy that actually did the rape,
Yeah.
and while the other guy who was just there, which regardless they should have gotten the same charge, but or the same sentence rather.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, yeah, this prosecutor needs to die too.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I can't even think.
A terrible deal.
And that's what I was kind of confused in the movie the whole time, because I'm like, I don't really see anything wrong. Like, obviously, you know what I mean, vengeance, moral, and everything like that. 2 wrongs will make a right. But I'm looking at him like understanding and empathizing. Like, you just watch your wife and daughter get raped and murdered in front of you. It's like, you're just not gonna, you know what I mean? Not only are you not gonna do anything, but you're gonna let somebody make a decision where they go free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you truly, like, you watched. What did he say? Like, what did they say when he said you watched? They were like, well, technically, they need, I don't know what they'd stated in the movie, but they were like, we need this for it to actually be legitimate. Like almost like factual proof, like because you were unconscious. They said because you're unconscious, it's not actual factual proof. I was like, what the hell? That's horrible.
Well, I mean, you have rape kits now that can actually see if the guy ejaculated into the woman.
Yes.
To see if he actually did commit the rape. So
now, if they don't do that, does the rape kit still?
You could still charge somebody with rape.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sexual. I think I don't know what the charge is in Illinois.
Now, what about the people that get falsely accused of rape? Their reputation is ruined forever.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Not only is their reputation, because typically it hits some form of publicity where it's like they're ruined forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's no rebounding from that.
Well, how about
or they go to jail for it?
Yeah. I completely agree. Or people that they're 17 years old and they date somebody who's 15, or they're 18 and they date somebody who's 16. They get charged with statutory rape, and then they have to register as a sex offender for
the rest of their life.
That or for about 10 years.
Damn.
I mean, I got a client right now that's dealing with that shit. I mean, it's just followed him his entire life, and it's such bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. And again, we're not magicians, so I'm telling him, like, I can try to motion up the case to see if we can end the sex registration early.
Yeah.
It's statutory rape, so there's no way really around that.
Yeah.
And people talk about loopholes. It's not necessarily loopholes. It's parts of it's areas of the law that allow you to bring on an effective defense. So, when people say loopholes, it's not like there's a hole in the law where somebody finds a way to get out of something. It's the law. Somebody wrote that into law.
Yeah.
And the problem with a lot of the laws that are written is, you got, for instance, you talk about the feds. They have stacks of paper that are this high that they're voting on into law. So this entire stack of paper is getting voted into law by all the Congress people. And they have to look it over sometimes within 2 days. And it's like, how the hell do you get through all that? There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. So if it was me, I would never vote for something like that because I don't know what's in it.
Yeah.
Page 5 could have something great, but page 1,626 could have an increase in capital gains tax.
Yeah.
Which, again, we're getting into that territory, raising taxes and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Why can't we get rid of all taxes?
Shit, you're
Is
preaching
there
to the choir
is there a
over
way
here.
that where like a state could just handle their own educational system and roadways, whatever the hell the taxes all go to? Like, is there a way like the state could like self-pitch? There's enough wealthy people in each state. For it
Yeah,
to be like,
I mean, the states do take care of their own education, but the federal government also gives the states money. So,
okay.
for instance, you can, and I guess this will also get into commandeering too, but the federal government has the taxing and spending clause that allows the government to tax whatever they want as long as there's a legitimate government purpose, and spend however they want as long as for a legitimate government purpose. So with the taxing and spending clauses, they can send money to the states. They can fund the states essentially. So when they raised the drinking age from 18 to 21, the last state to do it, I think, was Wisconsin, and they the federal government took away. They're like, all right, you're not going to raise the drinking age. We're gonna take away your highway funding. We're gonna take 90% of it away or 100% of it away.
Yeah.
Unless you raise the drinking age. So Wisconsin's like, well, shit, we like that extra money,
Yep.
so we'll raise it. So that's kind of how that works too.
Now some states will have alcohol just sitting in a gas station, and then Pennsylvania, I'm pretty sure, like, doesn't have as accessible alcohol. Like, it's just all over the place in some places. Like, it's everywhere. Like Ohio, I feel like has alcohol everywhere. Like anytime I'm driving through Ohio, it's just like
You running alcohol or something?
everywhere. There's alcohol just everywhere. I'm like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Pennsylvania. I've been to Ohio.
Yeah.
I mean, being in Illinois, man, we run an alcohol out here all the time too.
Why is it so hard to get a gun here?
Well, that's the FOID card Act.
Yeah.
It's another.
Is this the hardest state to get a gun?
No, California takes the cake on that one.
Seriously?
Yeah, there's actually a New York case right now in front of the Supreme Court that was just argued. You should listen to it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. They talk about, because New York, so there's shall issue states and may issue states for concealed carry. So this is kind of getting away from getting a gun in general. The reason why it's hard, so to answer your question first, the reason why it's hard to get a gun in Illinois is because you have to get a FOID card first. You have to get approved for a FOID card. We're the only state, I think, that uses the FOID card system. And once you get approved, then you can purchase a gun. So the problem is with it, to me at least, is we have a Second Amendment right to own a firearm, to the right to bear arms. The question then becomes, is it a right now? I mean, how many hurdles can you put in front of somebody until you start violating that right?
Yeah.
So that's where you have the Heller case and you have the McDonald's, City of Chicago versus McDonald. That was a pretty good case too.
So if somebody had a gun in Chicago without a void card,
That's called a UUW. So it's an unlawful use of a weapon.
but they couldn't just defend the case with just saying, look, it's the right to bear arms?
No, because Illinois has the FOID card Act. You have to get a FOID card through
So it's a
Illinois
whole like
first.
law thing, and then
Yeah.
what is it, like a, hey, you get a 1 month slap on the wrist or something?
For a UUW?
Yeah.
Probably not. It's probably a felony.
So, and that felony leads to jail time?
Yeah, so difference between a felony and a misdemeanor. I guess the main difference would be misdemeanor, you can spend up to 364 days in jail, so it's up to a year.
Yeah.
Felony, it's a year or more.
Okay.
Those are the difference, really. And then obviously, with as a convicted felon, you usually can't own a firearm in most states, and you can't vote.
Yeah, I was going to say my parents, they can't do either of that, so they were felons.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think it's complete bullshit. 'cause
Did you
you're
listen to the
punishing
first podcast? That kid that I had on, he does all of my media. So he just got out
What
of
was his
jail
name
2
again?
years ago, Peter. And he got put away for like online. He was like middlemaning marijuana. But now I'm like asking him, I'm like, well, now there's states like Illinois where it's like recreationally legal, but you still have that on your record, which prohibits you from doing certain things.
Mhm.
And there's people still in jail for marijuana charges.
For major marijuana charges.
Major.
Small marijuana charges. And again, I mean, this is
Okay.
speaking in general terms. There
Yeah,
probably
'cause I'm
are
curious.
still people. But with all the petty marijuana offenses,
Yeah, his was 2,000 pounds, so I can see.
yeah, that's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's gonna he would still get convicted.
Okay, even today, like if you had
Unless-
2,000 pounds. it'd be
Yeah,
like-
he'd still get convicted today. So I mean,
Okay.
yeah, he's not doing too well with that.
Yes.
But I mean, the problem is you can associate that with gang violence. So I could see him getting denied for a FOID card.
Damn.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. I hate. I hate that felons can't vote
Yeah.
because, damn, you already served your time. Why do you got to continuously be punished?
Well,
you
the
know?
rehabilitation process doesn't seem too well either, because like I remember writing or like petitioning to the president. I think I was like 14 or 15, just writing like requesting for a pardon for my mom, just because I how hard it was working. I was like, she was so close.
Was she
to
charged
leaving
with a
our
federal
own.
crime?
Yeah, she did federal. Both my parents did federal time.
What were the charges?
I don't know the actual charges for like her, but I know my dad's was like money laundering, like wiring, all that. He did like 5 or 6 years, and then he was in a halfway house for like another 2 or 3, and then probation for like another 3 to 5.
Yeah.
So, but like she had got like sucked up into that, so she did 2.
Damn.
2 something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You would have to petition the president of the United States for that. Then.
Yeah, I got a response. It was just like, thank you for, you know what I mean, with
Yeah.
like the stamp. It was kind of cool, but
Yeah, I'm sure they wrote back to you, but I mean, it was
Nothing
probably
out of
some asshole aide
yeah,
that
just threw
yeah,
a stamp
yeah,
and sent it
they had
back.
cookie cutter response that they had ready to go.
Exactly, just
Yeah.
hit that back.
Sucks.
But it's kind of cool. Like, I do not pay attention to the Kardashians at all. I actually did a long time ago. You know what I mean? Like, have a girlfriend that was into it, and then you kind of get sucked into it as a kid. But like seeing like Kim Kardashian, I know she tries to fight like just
Yeah,
kinda
she
prison. You know what
Yeah.
I mean, with the prison system and everything like that, where it's not necessarily the best in certain areas.
yeah, she was advocating for criminal justice reform with Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he passed it too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that's the thing that's baffling to me is that most conservatives weren't talking about that because most conservatives are very I guess justice mindset. You know, they want people punished for their crimes.
Yeah.
Which that's the part I don't line up with as far as conservative views go.
Well, there's some countries out there like Sweden or something. Like you always hear like, oh, you're like memes and shit, where it's like prison over there. There's a couch and
Yeah.
you're reading and you're like
Yeah.
rehabilitating and getting back into society, where it's almost like a permanent little college. You know what I mean? Where they're trying to make you better,
Well, it's
opposed to just making you sit there and
As opposed to Illinois or not Illinois, the United States where we have private jails. So the owners of these private jails or prisons, they get money per prisoner that they get. So they have an interest in keeping people in prison.
So what separates a private jail from, what would it be, a federal or?
No, it'd be publicly funded. So like, IDOC, the Illinois Department of Corrections.
Yeah.
You got the jail out in 26 in Cal.
So what's the biggest jail in Illinois?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I'd probably think 26 in Cal. That's Cook County.
Okay.
Which you don't ever want to go there.
Yeah.
No. It's gross.
Bad.
Yeah.
I wonder how many murders they have, being that big.
Yeah, I mean the amount of murders in Chicago. There's a
That's
website.
what I was thinking with this
There's
void card. What's the murder rate per capita with this void card?
with a void card.
Like you guys have all these loops and hoops you got to jump through. Like,
Yeah.
what's the murder rate in Chicago?
Here, I'll show you. Go to there's a website called heyjackass.com.
Hey, jackass.
So it breaks down to date all the murders and homicides in Chicago.
Yep.
So shot and killed 21. It shows you where they're shot at, how many were wounded, how many were killed. I mean, it's wild when you look at this stuff.
So 8 people have been killed this week.
Yep.
Year
And
to
how
date.
and what the conviction rate is.
Year to date, 761 people shot
And killed.
and killed.
That's
Shot
not-
and wounded.
Shot and wounded
Yeah.
is over 3,000.
And total shot, 4,340. Total homicides, 809.
Yep.
I mean, holy shit, dude. Now, if it was like Texas here when it comes to guns, what can you do in Texas? You can just literally just pull up and just...
I'll be honest, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Illinois law is different than Texas law.
Yeah.
It's different than Pennsylvania. so-
Nebraska was pretty easy. Like right when
Yeah.
COVID hit, we were all like, "Hey, look, we should have guns just in case."
Yeah.
We just walked in there like, "What do you guys want? Just show us, show us that you're
It's
older
awesome.
than 18."
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Illinois, you need a void card, and you have to fill out the you have to fill out the federal sheet that everybody does, but then you
Yeah.
have a 3-day waiting period. Yeah. Which makes it makes
Can
no
you
sense.
buy guns online?
Yeah.
Now,
All the time.
how does that work coming into Illinois?
Gun broker, baby.
So
So
it gets-
what you got to do is you got to have it sent to an FFL.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so a federally firearms licensing.
So
dealer.
it doesn't get shipped to your house.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's no. When people say make getting guns as hard as it is to vote, it's like, dude, shut the hell up. Like
Yeah.
these are the same people that have no fucking idea how a gun works or how to get a gun.
Yeah.
That's the thing that drives me nuts. If you're against guns, you should learn how they work.
Yeah.
You should. I mean, the only thing in this country that people choose to try to legislate without knowing, I guess I should say two, without knowing exactly how it works or what it's about, I would say would be abortions and guns.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knows how a gun works. You walk up to somebody who's saying, make it hard to get guns. Okay, how does a gun work? What's in a round that causes it to go boom? Explain that to me.
Yeah.
Explain the anatomy of that. Explain the anatomy of of the integral parts of a gun, of a handgun, of a rifle. Explain that to me. Nobody can because they don't want to. They would rather sit there and say just ban them because they kill people. It's like, well,
Should ban cars and sugar.
I hate that argument too. Yeah. It drives me nuts because cars. What's the main purpose of a car?
Yeah.
What's the main purpose of a car?
Point A to point B.
Right. What's the main purpose of a gun?
Point A to point B.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Point B, bitch. You're get out of my house.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, so it's like there's a big difference. But I in a sense, I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, so we can put all these protections on cars to make sure people don't die from
Yeah.
car accidents and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, they're two different things, and I'm fine with
Yeah.
that because guns. The purpose of a gun is to kill somebody.
Yeah.
All right. It's the way you use that gun. Is it to defend yourself? Is it to kill somebody to rob them? That's the point.
Yeah.
And that's the point of our Second Amendment rights, too.
Yes.
Because we weren't having these mass shootings back in the fucking 70s and 60s.
When
And
did Kent State happen?
I don't remember.
I wonder what that case would be called.
Yeah.
Let's look up.
I think
Kent
that was
State
back
shooting.
I think it was back in the 90s.
Not as maybe just not as much as they are now.
No, not at all. And again, it goes behind it. That gets behind the family structure. And again, this is.
Kent State was May 4th, 1970.
Oh, that was the 70s. Oh, I
Yeah.
stand corrected.
But that might have been like that's the only major shooting I ever even know of, historically speaking. And I only know that
Okay.
because I think Nick Saban went to Kent State. And I
Okay.
wonder if he was there for
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think there's nothing wrong with learning how guns work
Absolutely.
and actually taking classes where you get an instructor who.
Are there limits in Illinois on the types of guns that you can have in Illinois? Like, can you have automatic guns in any state or none?
You have to have a special stamp, and it's expensive, and
Yeah.
you can't be in Illinois.
Can't have one in
No.
Illinois then,
No, I know a guy out.
unless
in
you're like a
Wisconsin.
gun dealer, probably Illinois, because some of these places, like shooting ranges, typically have some automatic weapons.
Not the ones that I'm aware of.
And there's none in Illinois that have automatic weapons.
If you go to Buffalo Range down in Ottawa, they have automatic weapons there.
Where's
so,
that?
Ottawa's about an hour and 15 maybe south. It's right by Starved Rock.
Oh, okay, so that's Illinois,
Yeah,
but that's like the only one you know.
the only outdoor range in the state. Yeah,
And they have automatic.
they do have an automatic.
Oh,
there,
okay.
Yeah. But
Nebraska was like everywhere.
yeah,
Same in
that's,
PA. There's automatic weapons at the gun ranges, and you don't need no Ford car. You can just go in and be like, "Hey, I want to shoot today."
Yeah, but the difference is taking those home. So can you take one home?
Oh,
That's the question.
No,
Yeah,
I've heard
so-
of the stamps.
Yeah.
But you could buy them in Nebraska. But you need to put in like a submit for one of those stamps.
Yeah.
And it was like 30,000 or something.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
very expensive, but man,
insane.
it's pretty cool.
Insane.
Yeah, and you can only buy.
The movies make it look way easier to shoot.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
It's way
you can't,
harder. You're not really
that's-
like
Man, an automatic is almost impractical.
yeah.
The only thing that's good for is in the military and putting down suppressive fire so somebody else can run and get somewhere
Yeah.
else. So to hold down the enemy, but you can't shoot anything with an
Like
automatic.
the most you can go is semi-automatic. Even
that's
that's like unless
Yeah.
after I mean like obviously like those elite fighters, the army, you know what I
Mhm.
mean, Navy SEALs and shit like that. They might be a little more zoned in, but like
yeah, John Wick.
John Wick, shit like that. They're coming out with another John Wick.
Yeah, Chapter 4. Have you seen them all?
Yeah, I've seen
Oh,
them.
they're fucking
Love them.
awesome.
Love
Yeah,
those
me
movies,
too.
dude. I probably what got me even more interested in like guns and shit. So
you
like,
you don't own any, right?
nah,
Yeah.
I'm here in Illinois without a void card, so
Do you-
I mean, it's a podcast, dude. I literally don't own any though.
That sucks.
Yeah, no, it sucks really bad. So that's why I'm excited to probably change my residency to Texas and not just stay here and get a gun, but obviously have a place down in Texas for the winters. That's kind of my long-term vision of like having just having a sick place down in Texas, kind of like a Bill Zerian setup I could foresee.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Have some tanks.
You should look into seeing if I have some tanks.
Dude, I swear to God, like over time, like I want some sweet shit where I could just, you know what I mean, weekend go out there, put a car full of tannerite out in some open field, and just blow it to hell.
Dude, shooting tannerite's a lot of fun.
I've only seen videos.
I've shot it before. It's pretty cool.
Is it insane?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it was a small amount of tannerite, so when I shot it, it just went pop. You know,
Yeah.
It was a big explosion.
Yeah.
Left a little hole in the ground.
Yep.
But it was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, I don't have a video of it, but I have. Here's a video of me shooting an automatic.
What's your favorite gun?
My favorite? Are we talking handgun or rifle?
Let's do both.
So my favorite handgun right now. I'd say my favorite battery of arms is a 1911.
Oh, okay.
Here I'll show you. I'll show you a picture of mine.
What bullet does that shoot?
Depends. So here's my 1911 collection here. So
Wow.
that's my Kimber 1911. That's a 45. That is, I don't own that one anymore, but that was a Springfield Range Officer Elite that shot a 9mm. And then this guy was a big guy. This is my my 10mm.
Okay.
That's a Springfield Range Officer Elite in 10mm. So it's a bigger barrel. 10mm is a fat round. I mean, it's
How does
big.
that equate to like 45?
So you could think of a 10mm as like, you could think of the 10mm as like the big jack guy.
Yeah.
All right. And then you could think of the 45 as like the short, strong man, but he's not ripped. So he's like slow moving, but he's got a lot of power.
See, with me being a badass kid, I remember being 15 and having a gun. I was on the streets a little bit, and I had a High Point 45.
High Point.
Yeah, just some big ass gun with big ass bullets in it. I got it for $200 off some dude in an alley.
You probably overpaid for that.
Probably.
I wouldn't pay.
I hear they
$50.
jam.
Oh God, they're fucking, and they're ugly as fuck too.
Big, heavy, ugly ass gun.
It's great for throwing at people.
It's hilarious. Now, in that situation, how would I have ended up if I would have got like caught up? Because I'm pretty
Are
sure
you in
there's.
Chicago?
I was in Pennsylvania.
I don't know about Pennsylvania, but if you're in Illinois,
If I was in Chicago, 15, I think the serial number was messed up.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah, you could be charged with a federal offense for messing with the serial number.
At 15?
Well, yeah, I mean that depends if they want to charge you as an adult too.
Yeah.
So, I would think that you would probably get charged as a juvenile though.
Yeah. And
So-
what would that look like? Just juvie until 18, and then they
You
would.
know, I've never dealt with a juvenile case.
Okay.
I know that they're sealed, and they're not open to the public.
Wow.
So it's a little different. If you're charged as an adult, then you go through the same process as everybody else.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Talking about guns.
Guns. You know what? That smells a little like gunpowder.
This one does?
One of the smokes. Does it smell like gunpowder? Something smells like. Maybe I'm just thinking about guns too much.
I
You
mean,
hunt at all?
I actually went hunting this past weekend, but no.
No go. Hunting's
No.
like selling, or you know the deal with like
Yeah.
like cases and probably finding new clients. It's like 7 no's and 3 yeses.
Yeah, you got to be patient. But man, I'm not a big hunter.
The patience?
Huh?
The patience?
Not the patience. I mean, I don't know if I could bring myself to shoot something that doesn't deserve it. you know?
Now, are you a vegetarian?
No.
Okay.
It makes no sense. No, I know. It's like the only thing. That
I
makes no
agree with
sense.
you, because like as emotionless as I am, I love animals almost like I love more than I absolutely actually do love animals way more than fucking humans.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
and it's not that I have a hatred towards humans. It's just animals don't talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not. They're not.
They're not.
They're not deceiving you or
Yeah,
doing anything
for the
shitty.
most part, you know
Yeah.
what I mean. It's like one wants to kill you. You know, it was like a lion for sure
Yeah.
wants to kill you. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
like there is no like hidden agenda or anything like that. But yeah, no, I can relate to that. But I also I like the hunters. Like I follow dude Cam Haynes. Rogan hunts a lot, but like with their hunting, like they take it really almost like it's like ritualistic, where it's like Cam Haynes is like running 20 miles a day. It's all bow hunting, like real traditional, like almost like praise over the deer, and like
Yeah.
they eat everything. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like they use all the meat.
Yeah.
They're real respectful, real
I mean, that's-
humble.
But that's what you got to do, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
you don't want to be one of those guys.
My goal is to be on a 100%, not 100% meat, but like 100% organic, like hunter meat diet. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
want to eat.
you don't
elk.
want to eat farm raised.
No, I don't want to
Yeah.
eat any. I don't want anything that I don't know where it came from. Like after this year of like people trying to force this vaccine, I now, like, I don't want to drink water where I don't know where it's coming from. Like, I want to see it all myself. I want to see it all myself. I still, like, feel bad, like, just thinking of, like, what all pesticides and things are just put out and, like, into the water or whatever, just out into the world that we're consuming, and that how it's affecting us long term, where it's like, is it just naturally creating cancer, where there can just be that need to buy, you know what I mean, the medicines and certain things like that, where it's just a cycle of death and life and money.
Yeah, one of my ex-girlfriends was she still is vegan.
Okay.
We still talk too. She's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Man, the stuff that she showed me, specifically with dairy, I try as much as I can to stay away from dairy.
Yeah, same.
Dairy is just awful.
Month and a half, I think I've been off of dairy,
Yeah.
like pretty decent.
I haven't really, occasionally when I have pasta, I'll have some cheese with it.
Oh, you
too,
gotta have
but-
pasta.
Yeah,
bro.
exactly. But
I gotta have
so
chicken.
but like my coffee, for instance, if I'm getting coffee with some sort of milk in it, it's usually oat milk,
Yep.
coconut milk, something like that. It's never dairy anymore.
Okay.
I'm still not 100% convinced about the meat. Specifically, like we were talking about.
Oh, hell no. I love meat.
Yeah, right. But I mean, hunting.
Yes.
If you're smoking an animal out there and then you're eating that animal, well, you know where it's coming from, like you
Yep.
said.
Yep.
When you're getting a farm raised animal, I mean, they feed them shit. They don't take care of the animals.
Dude, and I was hearing like tofu.
Mm-hmm.
It requires you to like destroy like a significant amount of land and like the soil and everything. Like when like they're getting all the ingredients to create tofu and certain, like, it's very destructive.
Yeah.
Like, it's not good for the environment.
Right.
So it's like,
It's the same thing with palm oil.
you know what I mean? And like, if you don't have some form of management in place for animals like deer, what's going to happen is you're going to hit them. You know what I mean? They're going to overpopulate and you're going to hit them. You know what I mean? They're going to be jumping all over the highway.
It's funny though, because I said the same thing. My ex was like, well, she's like, if we're not killing all the wolves that are taking care of the deer population, we wouldn't have an overpopulation of deer. So it kind of
All right, I don't know who the fuck eats wolf.
no, right.
But I do know there's hunters out, you know what I mean?
that
Or
hunt
people that's like,
wolves.
oh, hell yeah,
and then
wolf.
there's trophy hunters too.
Yes,
that are, I can't stand trophy hunters.
Yeah, that's a little excessive. I can see like the thrill of the hunt, but like, you know what I mean, where I try to see it from both sides, but at the same time, it's like, usually it ends their career if they like someone ever finds out. You know what I mean, like that one doctor that
The
like
Jimmy John's guy. He's a trophy hunter.
Oh
Yeah.
hell, did that ruin his career?
People are buying Jimmy John's all the time.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say,
don't
but
think
like
so.
his publicity though, like
I
this is
don't-
the first I'm hearing of it. I remember a doctor shooting some lion or something.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I mean, Harambe is like a holiday. Didn't he get voted for president?
Yeah, he did.
You know what I mean? Like more people,
Yo, he died for his sins. You better respect him.
right, bro? Like holy hell, holy hell. Back in we went down this great tangent, but with you growing up, what are some of the like valuable things that you remember growing up?
So when I was growing up, I was, I didn't get into a lot of trouble.
Yeah?
I didn't.
Your parents were like just real good, like
Well, I'll be honest. I hate using this word, but I can't think of anything else to use. But I was privileged growing up.
Yep.
You know? So
that's what I want to do for my kids.
Yeah, both exactly. And
the
there's
whole
a lot
point
of
of this.
right, and a lot of good things came from that. My parents, I learned what a good, stable family and
Yep.
marriage should look
They
like.
still
'cause
together?
They're still together. Yeah.
Wow. How
So-
many years?
I think they're 40 or 50 years.
Dang.
Oh,
That's
hang on.
insane.
I might be.
Yeah.
30. I'm sorry, 30.
They're gonna
30
if
or
they
40
hear this,
years.
dude, you're gonna
30
get
or
smacked.
40 years. That's
Yeah.
fine.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
Sorry, Ma.
That's hilarious.
Actually, my dad. My mom doesn't care about her age.
yes.
My dad is all crazy about it. But, growing up with them, it's nice because I know what a good, stable family and marriage should look like.
Yeah.
So it's almost good that I grew up, privileged
It's
the
a
way I was.
blessing.
The thing that sucks is that I didn't get into much trouble. You
Yep.
know, my mom put the fear of God in me.
Yep.
So I couldn't do anything. I
remember my boy's dad freaking out, the Italian kid.
Mhm.
It was probably one of the and my dad, like, you know what I mean, like borderline, like some of his charges were like child abuse. So like I know it, like a crazy an Italian, like a OG Italian dad getting mad, dude. And I worked for him for a while, like.
Yeah. My dad was a little more laid back. My mom was the one that I was afraid of.
And and some of the females too, even more so. Some of the Italian females, like, holy hell.
Yeah,
holy hell.
There was this one thing. So one of the stupid things I did when I was younger, and there wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
It was like I think I was in sixth grade, 7th grade, and one of my buddies and I, we went down to. So I lived on a hill, So you got the hill right here, and then you cross the street, and then there was a park down here. So you walk down this hill, and then you're at the park. It's called Tompkins Park.
Yeah.
So one of my other buddies lived right here, so his backyard was the park. It was pretty cool. So he was still sleeping, and it was just, the 4th of July had just passed. So we had like bottle rockets and shit.
Yeah.
So I go to my buddy, and I'm like, we're waiting. Let's just start lighting off bottle rockets. So we start lighting them off and stuff. There was a pair of shoes by the soccer net, and there was a porta potty. So I'm like, Nick, let's take these shoes and put them inside the porta potty and light them on fire.
That's hilarious.
So we shove toilet paper in them. We light them on fire, and these fucking things were just blowing up. I mean, they were a huge fire. So I see a cop driving by, and my buddy Nick, he runs. My dumbass goes to hide in like in one of the tubes on the playground.
Yeah.
Cop gets out of his car, and he goes, I could see you there. He's like, come out. So I come out. This little kid.
Yeah.
And the cop's like, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. He goes, you're doing anything by the porta potty? I'm like, no. So he walks over to the porta potty, opens it up. Big fucking fire. Almost like a bonfire in there.
Yeah.
And he just opens it up. Nonchalant. All right, let's go get the fire extinguisher. We start slowly walking back to his squad car. He pulls out the fire extinguisher. He slowly walk back over there. And, I didn't know any better at the time. He goes, you better call your buddy back here, or else he's going to be in a lot more trouble than he already is. So I call him up. I'm like, you got to come over here. You're going to be in trouble, which, was bullshit.
Yeah.
So he comes over there. His dad comes and gets him, takes him home.
Yeah.
My parents, we live up the street. So I had to call my parents. Both my parents are walking down this hill. My mom's wearing these fucking pink pajamas, and she's fucking walking, 4'11", just walking down the hill all pissed off. Cop steps in front of me because he could see how pissed off my mom was. And the cop goes, he's like, nothing. There was no damage to the porta potty. He's like, we're just taking it down for a report. I could see he's in good hands now. My mom's like, yeah, he's in good hands. So my mom takes me back, call my buddy Nick. I'm like, yo, what happened to you? He's like, I got grounded for a month. He's like, what happened to you? I'm like, I had to watch a documentary on fires.
Jesus
It
Christ.
was fucking hilarious.
That's hilarious. Documentary on fires.
Yeah, it was some dumb shit.
That's hilarious. Now, I remember you said, what did you originally go to school for? Was it for law?
So I went to undergrad. I majored in philosophy of law and criminal justice.
Okay.
Philosophy of law is pretty much just.
I was wondering
it's just a philosophy class.
It's not like so it's like Marcus Aurelius and all that?
Yeah.
I'm reading a book called The Daily Stoic right now. Kind of got put on from one of my boys. I just did a podcast with him. He's real big into philosophy.
Yeah.
Joey Crivelli, but like a lot of Marcus Aurelius and Seneca.
Yeah.
It's really just a daily reader on philosophical quotes, and then it kind of dissects it into an open-minded perspective of how you can apply that and implement it into your day.
Okay.
It's pretty fire.
What's it called?
The Daily Stoic.
The Daily Stoic.
Yeah. Real good book.
Yeah. Let me take it down.
Simple, easy. Good insight for the day.
Yeah, but philosophy of law, criminal justice. It was mainly criminal. The main thing I went to college for though was mock trial.
Okay.
So it was like it's basically a fake trial. You're put on. It's the way I describe it is it's a sport without the sports.
Yep.
There's no physical activity, but you're put on a team. You have coaches. You compete. You get trophies.
How'd you do in that class?
It was they ran it like a sport. They didn't run it like a class. So we sat in classrooms. We worked on stuff.
Yeah.
But it was almost like a sport, though, because we weren't necessarily. I mean, we were learning stuff, of course, because we had to. But we were almost practicing for the competition. So you get a small fact pattern. You get different witnesses. So my first case was a drinking and driving case.
Yeah.
In college. So I probably ran that case 1,000 times. So you do the same case over and over.
Yeah.
And there's 3 attorneys. There's 3 witnesses. There's a person who does an opening statement and a person who does a closing argument. And then you have 2 judges who are usually either a professor, a law student, or a lawyer. And they judge you based on a scoring sheet. So they judge you based on... So you're going up against another team. So it's your team with your 3 attorneys and 3 witnesses against another team with their 3 attorneys and 3 witnesses. So the goal of the case is not to get a guilty verdict or a not guilty verdict. It's to put on the best case.
Mm-hmm. And what determines the best case?
The judges. So they judge you based on how your presentation looks, how your arguments are, how if you're using.
Why
notes,
wouldn't they just judge on facts brought to the case?
Because the facts are always set in stone. They're
already
same.
provided,
yeah.
And then you build off of that and defend it. Okay.
Exactly. So yeah, the witnesses, for instance, if you're let's say you're an eyewitness. You go based off of what an affidavit says, and an affidavit's basically their statement
Yeah.
of the events that transpired that day.
Yeah.
And that program allows you to kind of expound on it. So one year I was an accountant, but I played as like this mafia accountant. It was pretty
Okay.
funny. So like I had this really thick Chicago accent. I pretended like I was kind of in the mafia.
Yep.
Threw people off like crazy because
Hilarious.
they just, you know, how do you cross-examine somebody?
Yeah.
So you know, that was my main thing that I enjoyed doing. And I did pretty well too. I had a lot of good coaches, a lot of good students that were on the team. I think I got 11 outstanding attorney awards and 3 outstanding witness awards.
Yeah.
So I played as a cop, and then I cross-examined the cop as a defense attorney. So you play both sides of the case.
Yep.
And it was a blast, man. We went to Yale
Yep.
University. I took an outstanding attorney award there. We beat Harvard.
And what university did you go to?
I went to Lewis University.
And where's that?
That's in Romeoville, right by Joliet.
So is that like Ivy League?
No,
Oh, okay.
not at all. It's a tiny school.
Is it like Catholic?
Yeah, actually, it's
Oh,
a
okay.
Catholic Wesleyan university.
Ah.
Be honest with you, man. The only people that go to Ivy League schools are people that are really, really smart.
Yeah.
They have somebody that's one of their family members is a senator, or somebody that's a fucking rich person, or they went, or their family members went there. So,
What about like really rich too? Or
yeah, right, really rich too. Right.
senators.
But you know what, man? When we were at Yale, my first time at Yale, my coach was telling us, he's like, all right, our first round, we're going up against Harvard.
Yep.
And, all of us kind of,
And did you travel there?
yeah, we flew.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in Connecticut.
Okay.
So my coach was telling us, he's like, you're going against Harvard. He goes, let me tell you guys something. He goes, those people, they have everything handed to them. Their mom and dads, they're fucking rich people. They're all white collar assholes. He goes, you guys all come from blue collar families. You guys know what it's like to work hard, and you guys know what it's like to have to earn the things that you have in life.
Yeah.
He's like, so you guys are going to beat these people. And we fucking crushed them.
Yeah.
I mean, it was awesome.
Were they kind of astounded? Like, was it like a upset?
I don't remember. I don't think they really thought anything of us. Like you said, it's just a bunch of preppy,
Yeah.
uptight, my dad's a lawyer kind of people.
Yeah.
So it's those kind of it's almost like they don't have any humility.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying, like, being grounded kind of in smaller universities where nobody's really heard of it, it kind of
Yeah.
humbles you a little bit more.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
you're grateful for what you have and how you work for it. So,
Absolutely.
and again, not to say that people from Harvard aren't that way, but
yeah.
the ones that I encountered weren't very humble.
Yeah.
They didn't have any humility.
Yeah. Absolutely. What would you say is like one of your favorite childhood memories, like growing up?
Oh man, I don't know. I'd have to think about that for a minute. I think one of them was when I was wrestling, and it was at a Palatine tournament, and I was in the finals. It was it was the main tournament, and I got sick out of nowhere. I had a fever.
Yeah.
I fell asleep on my chair,
Yeah.
and then I got woken up by a coach, and he's like, "Dude," he's like, "You're up," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Are you serious?" And it was the last match was first place.
Yeah.
So I'm getting ready to go, and I feel like shit. And I remember saying a prayer really quick, and I'm like, God, if you could just let me get past this and try to win.
Yeah.
And I pinned the guy in 13 seconds.
Jesus.
It was fucking cool.
How old were you?
I was a freshman, so I think I was 15 or 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fucking wild.
Dude,
I mean,
that's
that was
insane.
crazy. Yeah.
I didn't know you wrestled. What weight did you wrestle?
119 and 125.
Ah.
Yeah. And I started wrestling in, was it third grade?
Okay.
Yeah, so third grade all the way up to my sophomore year.
Yeah.
I broke my ankle, so I was out for junior year, and then I got a job, and I started making money.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was like, man, I'm not gonna be the same as I used to be.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then after a while, I started, I was always a little guy, so like I'm obviously not the tallest person.
Yeah.
I tell people 5'7", but I'm like 5'6" and some change.
Yeah.
And I never was big. I was never a big guy. So
Yeah.
I remember this one girl when I worked at Caputo's as a front-end manager.
Yeah.
And this one girl was like, "Oh, you're so little, so cute." And I'm like, "What the fuck? Like, that's so fucking degrading." So at that point, I'm like, "No, I'm working out. I'm going to start getting bigger. I'm going to start
Yeah.
getting stronger. I don't want to be known as the little guy
Yeah.
anymore." So I've been working out. That was back in like 2011 maybe. So I've been working out for like about 10 years now.
Yeah, dude. I was gonna say you got a good build, man.
Yeah,
You got a good
it's
build.
okay.
Yeah.
The guy I work out with now, he's my trainer.
Yeah.
Survival of the Fitness. That's his new business. His
Yeah.
name is Cisco.
Yeah.
He's a fucking beast.
That's
Yeah.
it.
He
Where do you guys work out at?
He runs a gym out of his house.
Okay.
So in his basement,
Yep.
he's got a really nice setup. He's got a whole turf row machine. He's got cables. He's got landmine areas. You know,
Yep.
if you know what I'm talking about. I
Yeah.
don't know how else to describe him.
Yep.
And he's just, I mean, the guy is just a bevy of knowledge when it comes to working out.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that he has us do, you know, you cut up a lot. You could build a lot of muscle that way too.
Yep.
So I mean, he does a great job.
Yep.
So I started really working out with him about 2 years ago.
Now, did we say what kind of favorite rifle you had?
No,
What was your favorite rifle?
my AR-15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it custom at all?
No, but it's a Springfield Saint. It's their base model, but it comes with everything already tricked out. The only thing I don't have is an optic right now. I run irons.
I had an AR-10, and it
Damn.
shot 308,
Yeah.
and it had a custom skull right where the clip would go,
Yeah.
like a porcelain skull. Obviously not porcelain, though. I feel like that would be too fragile.
Yeah.
But it was this white skull with the teeth right where the and then it had a chrome twisted barrel.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
it
pretty
was-
cool.
Yeah. it was sweet.
I just picked up a Kimber ESV. It has a titanium nitrate gold barrel.
The
So-
one dude here I'll introduce you to before we leave loves guns from Nebraska.
Yeah.
He's got the shotgun from John Wick. That Kel-Tec.
Benelli, I think it is.
Is it a Benelli?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was a Kel-Tec.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got a different gun then.
Okay.
But he's got this dope shotgun. I'll have him describe it to you.
Yeah.
Need to talk to him about.
But,
his
yeah.
Nebraska guns.
Yeah, man. Guns are. I just got into them like maybe 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Or no, God, 2016 I think it was.
Now, are you into any movies? As we wrap up, I always like to get people's like favorite movies.
Goodfellas is my favorite movies.
Goodfellas
Yeah.
is a phenomenal
100%
movie.
my favorite movie.
Phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
Do you have like another top three?
yeah,
Goodfellas.
007 Casino Royale.
Yep.
That's definitely one of the top ones. Thor Ragnarok was a great movie.
Love Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Any Marvel movie
Yeah.
I pretty much love. But the Thors and the Guardians of the Galaxies,
Mm-hmm.
really love. All, the Avengers you got to love. Spider-Man's. I like Tom Holland.
Yeah.
So I think
more of Iron Man.
Iron Man's phenomenal
Yeah,
too.
he's my guy.
I don't know what they're going to do. If they're going to like bring him back. Or
Nah, he's hanging it up. I think he's done.
for sure.
Yeah, he should be.
I don't know, dude. I was hoping he would just go forever.
Dude, Robert Downey Jr. is the shit. Though.
The shit, bro.
Yeah, he's awesome.
The shit. And I really can't think of any other like things that I like from him.
Yeah. The Judge was pretty good.
Yeah.
Where he was a lawyer. His dad, who was Robert Duvall from The Godfather, Tom Hagen. He played as his dad as the judge
Okay.
in that movie. It was pretty good.
I like the movie he's in, and it's more of a comedy with the dude from The Hangover.
Bradley Cooper?
No, what's the
Zach Galifianakis?
Zach Galifianakis?
Yeah.
I don't know if I said his name right, but they're in that movie, and he's got like the French bulldog, and they're on a road trip.
Damn, I don't think I saw that.
Dude, let me look up the name of it.
I'm gonna watch that tonight then.
Robert Downey Jr. and Zach. I hope I'm saying this right. Movie. It's called The Due Date, I think.
The Due Date.
Yeah, Due Date. Just Due Date. Yeah, Due Date. And they got the, here's kind of the trailer. Let me just skip.
Say hi, Ginger. Do you have a hairdresser out west? I just
It's
took a smaller
hilarious.
firm and it needs major upkeep.
So that's what I'm dealing with.
Oh, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, dude. Shit looks hilarious. It's hilarious.
Did this just come out?
Nah, 2010.
2010?
This is a phenomenal movie.
Pimples. We need to make a pit stop. Close in 5 minutes. I got reservations at Chili's.
You have a reservation at Chili's.
That's actually smart. I mean, he gets busy on Wednesday night.
That looks awesome. That was in the peak of Robert Downey Jr.'s career,
Dude,
too. 'Cause
you
that
got-
was when he, that was when he was just Iron Man. 2 years
Yes,
ago.
bro. Yes, dude. Phenomenal movie. So, Goodfellas, 007, and then Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
What's the next Thor coming out?
that
year or
is? I
so?
think it's called Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah,
But I kind of gave up on the Marvel movies.
because
Af-
of After Avengers with Iron Man.
Well,
gone.
I gotta be honest with you. Endgame sucked. I hated it.
You didn't like it?
Man, I was sitting in the movie, and I was in Infinity War. I was all jacked up. I was like, "Oh damn, this is where Iron Man dies." I'm like, "No," and then Strange saves him,
Yeah.
and then so I walked out of that movie just blown away.
Yeah.
Endgame, I left. Upset.
What would you have done differently? Like, did it follow the comics?
I don't. Well, I didn't care about the comics.
Okay. I don't
They
know.
actually no, I know, but I didn't care so much about the comics as just a good story. I just didn't enjoy it. There were nice. I enjoyed different scenes. Like
Yeah.
a couple of scenes where if you pull something out of the movie to watch it,
Yeah.
I would enjoy it. But the movie in a whole, I mean, especially with the Hulk, I mean, they fucking ruined the Hulk.
But they made him so soft.
Yeah, they made him a bitch.
Yeah.
And then they were gonna. I wanted them to explain what happened from Infinity War, and they didn't. The only way
Yeah.
you would figure that out is if you did independent research and asked the directors what their thought process was behind it.
Yeah.
And then Thor. I mean, that was just fucking ridiculous, man.
Made him a fat ass loser.
Well, I mean, from Thor Ragnarok, he went from somebody who never wanted the throne, and then he had this huge character build. I mean, to a guy who's like, I don't want the throne, but it's my responsibility to take it.
Yeah.
And then he loses, and it was a nice motivation for him in Infinity War. But then he just turns into this fat piece of shit again. And it's like he regresses back from that character build that he got from Ragnarok. And it's
Yeah.
like, how do you do that? How do you take that character and ruin it? And I mean, and again, I think it has to do with people being like, oh, body positivity. And it's like, all right, man, I'm all for body positivity if you lost a limb from the war, or if you were born with a body
Yeah, but I'm
defect.
not going to cheer someone on and being a fat ass.
Yes,
Because
and
it's unhealthy.
and I'm not going to sit here and make fun of fat people either, because
not at
that's
all.
that's not. I don't think
I
that's
was
right
a fat
either.
little kid.
Yeah, I was a skinny little kid,
Yeah.
both of which weren't healthy.
Yeah.
But the problem is, it's like you shouldn't glorify that. You
No.
should glorify but people who should be body positive are the people who are actually taking care of themselves, that are
Yep.
watching their diet, and that are not dying from COVID because they're in such great shape.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
again, there's a handful of people, obviously, who've died from COVID, who
Yeah.
had no underlying disease, and they were in very good shape.
Yep.
But the main people who pass, and I just kind of went off on a tangent again, but the main people who pass away
fat
from COVID
people.
are fat and old.
Yes.
Yeah. So, again, with the Thor movie, it's like you just took one of the most powerful characters and you dumbed him down to this just.
Insane.
Yeah, I hated it. I mean, it
Insane.
was cool at the end when he, was wielding both hammers, but it wasn't.
Still, dude.
It sucked, man.
And he'll be in the
couldn't
next Guardians of the Galaxy, I think.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah, I think he'll be in the next. So I'm hoping I'll kind of get a vibe and see like what that's going to be like, and then kind of get an idea also. I mean, I'm a big movie guy. That's like the only thing I do outside of work is movies.
Yeah.
So like that's one of my
That's
escapes.
pretty much what we did in law school. My roommates and I.
Yeah.
We just fucking watch movies.
Yeah, dude.
All day. I mean,
Goodfellas is a good go-to.
yeah, it was fun.
Good go-to. Music,
Everything.
everything,
Everything. Yeah, and I'm not saying
new, old,
everything.
rap,
Yeah.
country, rock,
Doesn't
all of
matter.
it.
The
I'm
only thing
same.
the only thing I'm not good with is artists, but I love
not-
listening to everything.
Yeah, I'm not the best with like artists and lyrics, but I'm pretty diverse. I don't get into like the Juice World, Tyler the Creator, like the depressed rap. Juice
Oh.
World. You know
okay,
what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
I think I'm familiar. I think I'm familiar. Did he do a?
He's from Chicago. He got shot, or no, he overdosed.
Oh damn,
Yeah,
that sucks. I didn't know about that.
yeah,
Did him and Machine Gun Kelly do something together?
probably. I don't know.
Okay.
One of the dudes here, my right hand man, he loves Juice World. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Juice World, but rap, rock, metal, heavy metal.
you're like a
country.
favorite like band or song.
My
or-
favorite, oh man, my favorite metal band is either Disturbed or Slipknot.
Yep, Slipknot's good.
My favorite rock band, man,
Nickelback for you, huh?
no. Hey, Nickelback's pretty good.
No, you
though.
can't go wrong with Rockstar, dude.
Hey, dude, they sell out every concert.
Yeah, you can't
Every
go wrong.
concert.
I don't know why people make fun of Nickelback. I like Nickelback.
Because they're so fucking cliche.
Yeah,
but,
I
mean,
like
it's,
Nickelback.
I do too. But yeah, I definitely, yeah, I like Nickelback a lot. I don't listen to them on the regular though.
Yeah,
but,
no, me
yeah.
either. It's rare occasion, like Nickelback time.
But man, favorite rock band. That's a tough one.
I like Bob Seger. I know he's not a rock band.
Yeah.
I don't think, but I like
It's not bad.
Ted Nugent.
Ted Nugent's pretty good.
Stranglehold.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that fucking guitar solo.
Kenny Chesney band.
Kenny Chesney's good.
Yeah.
Good old country.
Did I say band? Yeah, not band.
Yeah.
Five Finger Death Punch.
It's good.
And then, oh shit. Yeah, AC/DC, classic rock. I can't think of a good rock band that I like right now.
Yeah.
Alternative I listen to a lot too.
Yep.
So like your emo shit.
Yep.
Kids that wore all the black makeup in school. I
Yeah.
like that music. I never wore the black makeup, but I listen to the same music.
Yeah. That's dope.
Rap too. So obviously Eminem. I like a lot of the older rap though, like 50
Yeah.
Cent.
Yeah, same.
Biggie.
Feels like there's some more flavor in it.
Yeah, but
Some
I'm
more depth.
definitely I'm into this guy named NF.
Yeah, I know.
He's
enough.
pretty good.
Yeah.
His shit's great to work out to.
Yeah.
Great to work out to. Machine Gun Kelly's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, he's good.
I like both his rap and his new alternative swing that he's doing. And then obviously your classics,
Cramp it up.
Dean Martin, Sinatra.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
all
gotta
day.
like
Tony
Sinatra.
Bennett.
You probably walk into every room listening to
Oh.
Sinatra playing behind you.
Oh,
Fly
yeah, man.
me to the moon. Hilarious.
Yeah, Tony Bennett does a really good cover on that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is
Fly
that
Me
a
to the
stand
Moon.
up?
Huh?
Is that a comedy?
Tony Bennett?
Yeah.
No, he's a singer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
he's like
sitting
Dean Martin.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
Dean
cool.
Martin or Frank Sinatra. Yeah.
Okay.
He's like 90. I think he's like 91 right now, and he's got Alzheimer's, and he can still sing.
Damn.
Yeah, he crushed it. Watch him and Lady Gaga. They did a duo.
Wow.
I think it was like maybe a few weeks ago.
Wow.
And man, the guy, you could tell that he has Alzheimer's. 'Cause
Yeah.
He didn't really know where he was. He didn't know that he sold out a whole stadium.
Joe Byron.
Yeah. I don't know who that is.
Joe Biden.
Oh, Joe Biden.
Joe Byron.
Joe Byron, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
TikToks.
Let's go, Brandon. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's-
dude. Let's go, Brandon. The Joe Byron. Bing bong. Joe
Yeah.
Byron. Hilarious.
My favorite of the Let's Go Brandon stuff.
Dude, in the whole stadium,
Yeah.
and the news reporter's like, "Can you hear
Can
that?
you hear them? You're yelling, "Let's go, Brandon."
They're hearing 'Let's go, Brandon," and then they'll reflect back and be like, "Apparently they were saying we love you, Joe Biden." It's like they were saying "fuck you." You're just screaming
Yeah.
at like they were saying "fuck you,"
Yeah, dude, those people are so disconnected from reality.
right, bro? I'm
Yeah,
just
it's
like,
too fucking funny.
what the fuck? It's hilarious. You want to shout out anything before we wrap up? Your law firm.
Yeah, so I practice out of Glendale Heights, law office of Frank Finella. You can ask for me, Anthony Scorzo.
Represents our office.
Yeah. Yeah, I do everything in general practice, so criminal law, family law, real estate.
All my cases have been successful.
Yeah.
Speeding tickets, people.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So
But yeah, give me a call. Phone number 630-462-7646. You can ask for me. That's my office number.
awesome. Anything
So-
else you want to shout out?
Yeah, just hi to all my friends, Joe, Eddie, Frank, Greg, my parents, my mom and dad, Rita and Tony.
Let's go. We don't have a big following yet, but 400 or 500 listeners, it looks
Yeah,
like
man.
right now. It's pretty good right off rip.
I'm promoting it, so
So
let's go.
let's go. Well, it was
Yeah.
awesome having you, Anthony.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks
brother.
for having me, man.